Welcome to Horrorscape. I'm Luke, and I'm joined by Ricky.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here again. This week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at our first creature feature of Horrorscape's existence here. So we're going to be looking at American Werewolf in London.
The pivotal classic
by
John Landis.
Keep off the moors. Stick to the roads. The best of luck.
Thanks for the ride, sir. You have lovely sheep. Northern England first, Italy later. Right. Excuse me. Well, what's that star on the wall for? Did you hear that? Listen.
Must go to them.
It's circling us.
No one brought them here. No one wanted them here.
Sounds far away. Not far enough. Come on.
It's in God's hands now.
Stay on the road. Keep clear to the moors.
And the synopsis here, we've got David and Jack, two American college students, are backpacking through Britain when a large wolf attacks them. David survives with a bite, but Jack is brutally killed. As David heals in the hospital, he's plagued by violent nightmares of his mutilated friend, who warns David that he is becoming a werewolf. When David discovers the horrible truth, he contemplates committing suicide before the next full moon.
Yeah, this is great. It's kind of a retelling of the old classic Wolfman story, but I feel like it does, in blueprints, it matches it, but at the same time, it still is done in a way that it feels really fresh and unique and
right.
original.
And this is like a creature feature, but it does have it's even listed as having like a horror comedy type feel to it in some parts. So,
and it's funny too.
Yeah,
I feel like it's funny in just the right to match the tone, and still when intense things happen, it's like your butt's clenched.
Right. Yeah. It does have some like breaks where you do get a chance to laugh. So I wouldn't call it a horror comedy, but it does have at least some comedic relief in it. So
yeah. And also, I feel like the comedy isn't so too outstretched to not match with the because what I feel like the main thing that makes this work is that its characters, I feel like, are more grounded, like real people, not like I don't know. I just feel like they're really well written as and acted as more fleshed out. Just understandably, these are people. Nothing weird, nothing contrived, no. Not even too goofy a dialogue to like take you outside. It kind of looks like you're just watching people and they're in this situation, which I feel like a movie should be. But I don't know. And it's got a mythology there too, and it doesn't just jam it down your throat either enough, because it also assumes you know some stuff about werewolves and that kind of mythology. So I don't know. I feel like it's a really smart movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of werewolf movies in general, but I do really like this one. It's probably one of my favorite werewolf movies there is. So I do really enjoy it. You mentioned that it is directed by John Landis. The big name in this is the special effects Rick Baker. I mean, he's a legend.
Rick Baker.
Yep. He did Gremlins, and a ton of stuff. Gremlins, the first thing that comes to mind. So, King Kong, he did King Kong. But yeah, Rick Baker, I mean, he's huge, and he's just a huge name in the special effects world. He's a legend, obviously. So I don't think he's doing much anymore these days, but which actually he just had a huge auctioning off a bunch of his stuff from his personal collection. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Ooh,
Yeah, I couldn't really afford anything, but
Yeah, I've always been a very big just werewolf enthusiast since I was a kid. Like that's always been my favorite monster. Period. That's it. Like just the idea of like you're outside and the moon's out and you hear this ominous howl in the distance just terrifies me to no ends. I mean, I'm more rational with it now, but when I was a kid, it literally terrified me all the time, just the thought. And camping was not always the most fun thing for me.
You grow up and you see a werewolf movie for the first time. Anytime you're outside at night and you hear even like a dog howling or a wolf howling, that's automatically what you're going to think of. So,
and yeah, there sadly, in my opinion, I'm sure a lot of people would agree, there are not that many great werewolf movies. There are some, but not that many. And I'll list them right now.
Well, the first that came to mind to me was, of course, the original Wolfman, and then like The Howling. Those are two.
Exactly, and also interesting that The Howling came out the same time, and Rick Baker worked on The Howling as well.
Right. Yeah.
So there's always the comparisons between which is the best one. We all know that it is actually an American Werewolf in London. The Howling is really great, though. But
yeah.
And then you got Silver Bullet. Let's see.
I don't think I've seen Silver Bullet, but again, I'm not a huge werewolf person. So.
Watch it just for Gary Busey's performance.
Yeah.
In the movie. This is before his motorcycle accident too, so he's still top tier weird, but like not as far out as possible.
Gotcha. All right. Dog
Soldiers.
Oh, that's one I've been meaning to see. Actually, is Dog Soldiers.
Yeah, I've got it. If you want to watch it. Right. And I like the first two Ginger Snap movies as well. I don't care for the third one though, but that one's just weird.
Yeah, so not a huge amount of werewolf movies I'm sure there's a ton out there, but not many are noteworthy. So.
And this other one I saw recently called Late Phases. It's about a blind guy in a retirement home fighting a werewolf. It's kind of like Bubba Hotep, but it's...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just randomly saw that the other day. It's really good, too. But that's about it, yeah.
Yeah, not too many. But let's just go ahead and jump right into the movie here.
Yeah. Great opening, great beginning. Whole part is just great.
Yeah, you have the two backpackers... Americans, yeah, and they are in Europe. I'm not sure they've made it to London quite yet. I don't think it really announces where they actually are. It almost seems like they're in Ireland.
They're in England because the doctor later just takes a quick trip down there. So it's just like England, probably northern England. That's more farmlands area. Right. They're way far out in the boons, but I just love that they happen to get out of a sheep bin or a sheep truck.
The sheep truck, yeah.
They're traveling. They're traveling with sheep. Mm-hmm. Isn't that possibly symbolism?
I think so. Yeah, because they pretty much are the wolves. The wolf is technically traveling with sheep. Well, what is soon to be the wolf is traveling with sheep. One thing interesting here is I was kind of watching and I was like, well, these guys get the truck driver to drop them off just kind of in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, where were they headed to? Where were they going?
Yeah, because they're like talking about how they could be in Italy, and I'm like, why are you? Why aren't you? Why is this fun? Like, it doesn't even sound like either one of them are really stoked on what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But especially Jack, he's not very stoked at all. But
yeah. And they're just kind of in the middle of just nowhere. In the scene, you don't even see like a single building. They're just on this kind of semi-dirt road, just like in the middle of nowhere. Like, why did they decide to go here of all places? Because and where were they planning to go, right? So,
who knows? Maybe they were on their way to London, and maybe maybe they took a plane and it dropped them off at the tip-top bit of England, and their idea was just to walk down there and then eventually get to London. They never explain that, but all we can do is speculate. But we all know where they're going.
Yeah, but it's not important. It was just something that kind of popped in my head. Like, where are these guys
It's a
going?
fair question.
Yeah, like where were they headed to?
Yeah.
So, but we do know they eventually make it to a pub called the Slaughtered Lamb, which again is probably a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Because there's not even a lamb on the sign.
Right. Yeah, there's just a wolf with like bloody teeth and like so
Like lamb to the slaughter.
yeah. And I guess they're stopping in it's the one place they found in the middle of nowhere. So they're gonna try and get some food, get something to drink, but they don't have food. So
well, they tell them they don't. As soon as they walk in, like the record scratches, and everybody stares at them.
Pretty much, that's what happened. So
Outlanders.
Yeah.
But yeah, shenanigans ensue. The villagers are obviously hiding something.
Right.
One of them comments on the pentagram, or as Jack was saying, the pentangle.
Yeah.
Is that right? I should have looked it up, but
no, I don't know. I've never heard it references that before ever. So
yeah, pentangle, pentagram, we know. But so they are booted out of the inn for some reason. Even though obviously what the villagers know is that there's currently a werewolf out tonight. But they say if they stick to the roads, they should be fine. Even though in my mythologies about werewolves, moors, roads, anywhere, if they're in the vicinity, they will get you.
Right. I don't think a road matters.
It's going to stand in the way of that thing.
Yeah, and they tell them to beware of the moon and stick to the roads. And it's like, well.
I mean, later in the movie, we see a werewolf working just fine on a road.
On a road, yeah. But
a very busy road.
I mean, if you're, in my mind, if you're going to try and warn somebody about something, then don't be cryptic about it. You know, don't say shit like beware the moon or anything like that, you know?
Or just put them up for the night, and then they'll probably go to sleep because they're walking, and then they won't know there was a werewolf out that night, and nobody dies.
Right, yeah.
But anyways, this has to happen for the plot because it leads into, I think, one of the scariest scenes I've seen in a movie in my life. I don't know, just something about the build up to this. And, you know, you already like these two guys too. And like, man, it kind of makes me feel like, have you ever seen Animal House? That's another John Landis movie.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Well, there's the two leads of Animal House. They're like two like best friends. They're really smart Alex and stuff. They're like real smart asses. It kind of feels like if they just got thrown into this situation, just the way they are with each other. They're really snappy with each other.
Yeah.
They're on the same same page most of the time. But yeah, it just feels like some other movie found its way into a horror movie at this moment. And I think that's what makes this like so much eerier because oh man. Yeah, so they're just like walking around like a couple, you know, guys lost in Europe. They're trying to keep their spirits lifted, even though it's like cold and like creepy out, and they're creeped out.
And it starts to rain, so
starts to rain. It's a cold and a wet out here. Yeah, and then
again, they're not really headed anywhere in particular. They never mention where they're going or why they're going, but they just kind of just start walking. So.
Yeah, all I know is that the end stretch is going to lead them to Italy eventually. I don't know if they're trying to walk all the way to Italy. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
But during this time, they forget themselves and step right off of the road onto the moors, just as they were warned not to do.
Yep, and then they start to hear the howls of something off in the distance, and of course, you know what it is, so...
It's an English werewolf in England.
Right.
Man, I mean, I just remember the like first time I ever saw this and hearing that howl. It like that's like the best werewolf howl ever. It's sends shivers down your because it sounds so like not right.
Yeah.
Just like like it's not like it's a beast that shouldn't be making that sound is making that sound. Yeah, it's not a dog, clearly. It's just something really bad.
Well, they eventually try and, like, go the opposite direction of the howl. But, of course, you know, they get attacked and mauled. and Jack is the
Yeah.
one that gets killed. He gets pretty much ripped to shreds. David, he's got a few scratches or something, but he ends up surviving the attack because the
villagers grew conscious and tried to save him. Like, he got really lucky. Man, just like Jack's death, though, is like so visceral and real and terrifying to me because he's just like pleading for his life, basically.
And it's kind of still those fast, like, action type shots, but still it looks really good. So
yeah, really gory.
And again, that's Rick Baker kind of doing his thing. So
yeah. And as David is passing out from being attacked / saved, he looks over and sees a dead, naked, bald man next to him with a gunshot in his chest.
Right.
And that was the werewolf. So this is one of those universes that if you're a werewolf and you get shot, you just turn right back into you.
Yeah. You turn back into a dead human at that point.
Yeah.
Well, David's going to wake up in a hospital. They say he's been there for 3 weeks now after his attack.
Yeah.
They're kind of saying, the police want to talk to him, this kind of stuff. But the police are pretty much convinced that it's what the villagers had told them, that he was attacked by a maniac. And he's trying to tell them, no, it was, I feel like it was some sort of animal. But the police kind of have the police have their mind made up at this point that they have a dead guy that was there. So, they really don't have a reason to believe that it wasn't him.
Well, not both of the police believe that, I will say. The Monty Python-esque character.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, maybe the boy's right. And he's like, you're trying to tell me that he was attacked by a giant wolf. Get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So and during this time, this is in the hospital still. He's been there for weeks. He starts having these dreams.
Right.
And these dreams are fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's also, worth mentioning too, we get introduced to Alex, which is his nurse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we get introduced to her. She's coming in as his nurse, trying to take care of him. And there's obviously like a little bit of attraction between the two going on. But yeah, he eventually starts having these dreams. And the first one, well, I'm not sure if it's a dream. The deer.
That's a dream. Yeah. It was a dream. Because he runs and bites the deer in the woods. He's like naked. Yeah. And then like right after that's the one where he sees himself in the woods, but he's in a hospital bed and his face turns into that
Yeah, the iconic weird almost Salem's Lot looking.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks more like a vampire there.
Yeah. But the last dream that he has is pretty cool. It's like these weird, to me, they almost have like a Nazi-esque to them for sure.
Yeah,
but they're like wolf Nazis that are just
werewolf Nazis of the SS.
Yeah, that are just opening fire on what I assume is his family.
Yeah, it's a quiet night, and he blows the dad away. They blow the mom away. They just massacre the children.
And I'm pretty sure one of them's wearing like a Darth Vader helmet with the face cut out of it. So, but it's a pretty crazy dream at that point. Then he kind of wakes up from that dream by the nurse supposedly there, and it turns out it's like a dream within a dream. So Alex wakes him up from this dream, but then one of the wolf Nazi soldiers come in and shoot her, and then he wakes up from that dream. So it's kind of like the dream within the dream. Yeah,
that's so good.
So he wakes up twice, but
So then the next morning he gets up, he gets served his breakfast, and he's getting ready to chow down. And then he hears a voice across the room saying, "Hey, can I have a piece of toast?"
Right.
And it's Jack. Jack's back.
Yep, Jack is the undead here. He has come back with a message for David. His face is all tore up, and he's in some of the first stages of his decay there. So
Yeah, he's looking fresh, and he warns David that he will turn into a werewolf in about 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
and he will kill people. And the reason that he is visible is because he has the bloodline of the werewolf that killed Jack. And
Right.
every time he kills, he will accumulate more dead souls around him, which
Yes.
I think that's a really interesting concept. It's something.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, he tells him that, you know, the only way that the bloodline will stop is with the final death of whoever is the last werewolf. So
In that line, yeah, and it really adds to the whole, like, it being an actual legitimate curse.
Mhm.
It's not just like in Twilight or something where he's like, oh, that's like my superpowers, I can turn into a werewolf or something. No, this is bad news.
Right.
You turn into this vicious beast. It's not you, but still these people's blood's on your hands.
Mhm.
Every minute that goes by that you haven't already killed yourself.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, and he
intense.
kind of he starts mentioning to him too, you know, that, you know, he should just go ahead and kill himself and get it over with and finish it all off. But, you know, of course he doesn't do that. So
He thinks he's crazy
yeah.
and he won't accept it. And also, I imagine, committing suicide cannot be the nicest or the easiest thought to jump to or
Right.
go through with, especially if maybe I am crazy and I'm not actually seeing Jack. I just feel guilty because we will also, small note there, that as soon as Jack was attacked, David just took off.
Right, yeah.
And I'm sure he feels guilty about that.
Probably so.
He
And
came back and then he got attacked too, but
and when you know, after all this, the visit with Jack, you know, he actually just started telling Alex, the nurse, about, you know, supposedly seeing Jack, and, you know, he's under the impression that, you know, he's just just losing his mind, you know, that kind of, and he tries to tell her about it, and, you know, she's just kind of the same way. She's kind of blowing it all off too. So, but that doesn't really stop their little
romance
sprouting.
Oh yeah, right when he tells her that Jack was just there, he gives her a big old smooch.
Right, yeah, he just goes in and just kisses her, which
it's like, I'm fucking nuts.
Yeah. And, you know, she's kind of falling for it, which again is kind of funny. I had a funny thought about thinking about this movie earlier. He's just like, man, this movie kind of just lets people know that, because even Alex says it herself later on. She's like, you know, I'm torn between feeling really sad for you and being super attracted to you. It's like,
yeah.
So yeah, this is just telling people, you know, you can find true love as long as you're attractive. You can be you could be a complete monster that kills people at night and come across as a psycho, but hey, you're attractive, so, you know, go for it. Which, of course, I mean, that's not what they meant by no means.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny that kind of went, because she's, in my opinion, she's kind of oblivious and stupid for most of this movie. So,
to him being like, I might have killed people.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like, oh, you're so damn cute, though.
Right.
Well, at the same time, like, he is a really nice guy, and he's like funny and he's charismatic, and like, honestly, you wouldn't be able to believe this stuff he's telling you. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm like going crazy, or like I'm gonna do horrible things. Like, yeah, I mean, he and the story he's telling is so fantastic that, like, how could you believe? He's like, yeah, you're gonna turn into a werewolf. Cool, that's funny. And honestly, if coming from me though, if somebody told me they were turning into a werewolf, I wouldn't fuck with them anymore.
Right. I was gonna say, at the very least, he's like,
it's probably not true, but you know what? Just fuck off. You can't crash at my place, man.
Yeah, like at the very least, he's mentally unstable at the moment. So you may not want to pursue a relationship with someone who is saying they are seeing dead people. And, you know. So, but yeah, he's attractive. So
I don't know. Maybe she. Yeah.
So, and it was just a funny thought I had. So no, not dissing the movie, but just saying that her character is a little stupid because moving on, she does, when his time is up in the hospital, she does offer for him to come stay with her, which is stupid because you don't know this guy, you know. Two, he's showing some signs of at least some type of mental disturbance from what happened or something.
Well, at the same time, she's a nurse and she'd been caring for him. So maybe she just thought of it more of like additional helping. Her being a nurse and also being attracted to him, like, I could see that reasonably. She probably just thought she knew him that well. And, like, if it wasn't for the werewolf thing, yeah, she probably would have known him for who he is. But that other side, literally, that other side of him, like, there's only one way to know that side, and that's on a full moon.
Yep. So he accepts, of course, and goes back to her flat with her. And one of the more awkward scenes coming up for me is the shower scene where, I mean, they pretty much, she shows him the flat, and then they pretty much just waste no time. She's like, well, I'm going to take a shower. And then the next thing you know, they're in the shower together. So
they're in the shower banging a Van Morrison, baby.
Yeah. And there's like a long scene there where she's just like got her head on his shoulder thing, and they're just kind of like hugging awkwardly. And she's just kind of like biting his shoulder. And it's so awkward. It's such a weird scene.
Oh, they're probably they're just rubbing their junk with it against each other.
like who does that? And it's so long. It's not really like leading up to anything. I mean, it's just a shower scene where they're just like.
You're critiquing the sex scene.
Yeah, they're just like awkwardly. Like if you just imagine two people kind of pressed up against each other, like trying to get by each other, but they literally not. And
I'm just having a hug, you know.
Yeah,
you've never done that.
It's like the longest awkward naked hug, where they're just kind of just like hugging each other but squirming, and she's just like randomly lightly biting his shoulder. It's just
he like rubbed a bunch of soap on it, like his chest and stomach, and they're like conserving soap, so she's like getting a little bit on there too. And like she said, she's paycheck to
paycheck, basically.
Yeah, paycheck. She's said very carefully, this is how I live, so I don't overspend things. So yeah, she's on a really nice side of London too, and she's a nurse, so she's got to be very, very careful with her spending.
Right. So maybe that's it. Who knows? But anyway, moving on from that strange scene, they end up, having sex and stuff, and it's late at night, and David gets up, and then Jack shows back up to speak with him again. He's more decayed this time.
He looks like Corey Feldman in the same. Every time that happened, scene, like when did Corey Feldman get in here?
And it's pretty much the same story as last time. He's trying to convince him again that he is a werewolf, that he needs to kill himself. David again kind of doesn't believe what's going on, of course, because who would? And while he's talking to Jack, kind of Alex wakes back up again and comes out and asks what he's doing. He again tells her the story, and she just is just kind of like oblivious to it all. She's like, oh.
She says something really interesting here, though, that made me think about stuff. She wakes up because she said she heard voices, not him.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, is somebody, like, could somebody potentially notice and see Jack, too, that isn't, under the werewolf curse thing? Because if she heard him, like, there's a chance.
That's the only time that's really addressed.
Even addressed, yeah. I just thought that was an interesting line. It's like, voices. You heard him talking to Jack.
Yeah. One other interesting thing just about the apartment in general, I'm not sure what the deal with all the Disney stuff was, but there's...
Maybe they had a deal with Disney.
I mean, it's not mentioned. I mean, you see like little Mickey figurines and a lot of just random Disney stuff that makes its way into scenes. So I don't know what the deal with that is, but it's
maybe
there.
That was Jenny Aguilar's real. Oh, actually, you know what? I I heard a theory that maybe it's just because you got Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. They're like animal human hybrids.
Oh, well.
I think that might be what it's meant for. Also, it might just be it was just stuff from John Landis's apartment that he brought over.
Yeah, maybe.
But
just
that
things,
kind of makes sense. I mean, Mickey Mouse is animal human hybrid. Well, then we move on to the next day, and David sees Alex off to work, and he's just going to hang around the apartment all day. He ends up getting locked out of the apartment. He ends up getting barked at by a dog, hissed at by a cat, showing signs of him coming to not be quite human. Animals immediately distrusting him. And so this is the night that he will eventually change.
Right.
So he just hangs around. He can't. And this part makes me think of like have you ever heard the stories about boa constrictors or snakes like starving themselves so they can have enough room to eat like something large, like a deer or a person or something?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of doing that. He keeps going to the fridge and be like, I'm not hungry. And it's like all day. He's like, why am I not hungry? This is weird. Yeah. And then finally, he's just sitting there reading a book, and he just yells, "Jesus Christ!" and is immediately in pain, and like he's like, "It's so fucking hot." He's getting hot all day. I remember watching this back in the day and wondering, like, how does he get out of the apartment later? But I remember, and then notice
there's the window. So
no, he's got the apartment door open, and then the door to the apartment complex open to.
He does leave
air. So that was like pretty clever way around that, because for some reason I'd always wondered that. But he starts changing in this glorious, fantastic, probably the best transformation scene you'll ever see in your life. Feet by Rick Baker, him changing. And the interesting thing about this, because a lot of times you'll see like werewolf transformations, it's always in the dark or something to or not, or not well lit areas to hide some of the
effects and stuff.
The mistakes, save money and like just stuff that may not look that well. But John Landis insisted he wanted this in full lighting. He wanted to see the audience to see everything, right? And it looks great still to this day. And
no, it looks amazing. Even going back, I mean, this movie is what, 1981. So even by today's standards, I mean, the werewolf transformation is super iconic and hands down the best werewolf transformation in any movie. I mean, I don't even think it's debatable. So
like you can't. You can't. I haven't seen better.
No.
Yeah, and he's in so much pain throughout all this, and like, that's what it would probably be, but like your entire body immediately turning into something else. That's awful. And one moment in this though that always creeped me out when I was a kid is when he makes eye contact with the camera while he's changing, and he just like looks at you.
And his
puts
eyes
his hand out
too. So.
Yeah, he looks like he's like pleading at you, but like, anybody help me. Like, oh man.
It's a super cool scene.
It's so cool.
I didn't get sad from it, but it's.
I was just saying for the character of David, because he's
right.
He's the villain and the hero,
and he doesn't know what's going on. So
he's clearly doing something nobody's done before. He's turning into a werewolf. Right. Yeah, that's rough. But and then you get this big, badass hell beast, the American Werewolf, and it is truly terrifying. And I don't know. They do. It goes on quite the killing spree that night.
Yeah, he does go on a killing spree, which it's going to include. Let's see, who was all that? There's the couple that's walking home. It's just a random couple. I assume.
They're walking to a party.
Oh, to a party?
Yeah, and so they decide to be funny and sneak around the back, and they're gonna like scare the owners of the house or whatever. And then they just get murdered by the werewolf, and his buddy comes out. He's like, "Harry, is that you? You dog!"
Yeah.
Is this one of your jokes? And then he just finds his dead body and his
Wait.
wife's body.
He steps on the arm, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it goes to.
Well, after this, we kind of during all this, his original doctor from the hospital is trying to, go back and check out the story, and he's kind of intrigued by what's going on. So he's kind of looking into the story, talking to the original villagers, that kind of stuff, and they're being just as cryptic with him. But
oh yeah. And they're he stumbles across the conspiracy and
right. So
yeah, one of the guys, he finally just spills the beans to him.
yeah.
I just love that Brian Glover character is like, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
He does end up killing a guy in a subway, which is pretty cool.
That's
Creepy
one of my
chasing.
favorite ones.
Yeah.
Because it barely shows it, and then it finally, that one shot where he chases him all through the subway. For some reason, he's the only guy there. And then he falls on an escalator, just like eat shit on this escalator, like head first. And then it goes to the top. The camera goes to the top of the escalator, looking down at this guy slowly going up the escalator, and then just the werewolf walking. And this is the first time it's even shown the werewolf in this whole scene, and it's just fucking huge. And then it goes to first person shot approaching the guy on the escalator, him just like looking like, oh shit.
Yeah. And he also this night he's gonna kill 3 homeless people as well. That just it doesn't show much of it, but you kind of hear what's going on. They have a little dog that goes off, and they think they hear some howling, barking. And he's like, well, that's not the dog, that's something else. And then you see kind of later on that he killed them as well. But in total, that night, the first night there, he does kill 6 people. So
yeah, he gets busy. Yeah. I heard in the original cut, it was they actually showed the homeless guys getting eaten, but they thought it was a little too much, so they cut it out. But it's fine. It works with the pace.
Yeah, it does. But he ends up waking up after the killing spree there. He wakes up in a zoo cage with other wolves. So we can assume that maybe he got caught, trapped. You never quite hear how we got there, but
there's a broken top to the cage he's in, so he probably just broke in there.
Yeah,
he might have fucked a wolf, and then he went to sleep.
Yeah, so regardless of whether somebody put him there, he went there himself. That's where he ends up. So
yeah, and then shenanigans ensue of him running around a zoo naked, and then stealing balloons from a little British boy.
And then he tries to get himself
naked.
Yeah,
arrested. No. Sorry, no, he doesn't. He goes back to Alex's place.
Yeah, and he tries to tell her what's going on. That he woke up here and there's strange things happening, and he's not sure how he got there. Yeah, he doesn't remember anything from the night. He doesn't really know where all he knows is he woke up naked in a zoo with wolves. So
yeah, maybe like, I don't know, the trauma of the experience of transforming just wiped his brain clear, or part of the werewolf. Because like Dr. Hirsch calls, and Alex is like, yeah, I'll take him right to the hospital, because Dr. Hirsch is really worried. He thinks that maybe not that David's a werewolf, but maybe he might psychosomatically think he's a werewolf or something like that. Could still be dangerous. And then also the fact of like it coming out that 6 people were brutally torn apart that night. So safest thing to bring him in. David's like unaware of all this. He's happy as can be. He's like super horny and shit. But they get him in a car, in a taxi, driven by Bricktop from Snatch. I don't know if you caught that. But he's like, oh man, it's like Sweeney Todd all over again. He's like, what? And he's like, yeah, all those people that were murdered last night. David's like, oh shit, pull over.
Yeah, so it's here where he realizes that, he probably did turn into a werewolf, and he probably committed all these murders. So yeah, he does jump out of the car. Alex is still trying to get him to go back to the doctor, and she's like, well, we'll take a look at you there. The doctor will check on you there and that kind of stuff. And then that's when he's going to decide that he needs to be locked up in a jail cell. So he goes, finds a British police officer, and I guess tries to taunt him, maybe is what he's doing, or just trying to curse and be rude and get thrown in jail. But this is England. You actually have to do something to be thrown in jail there. So
he's like, stop, or I'll have to ask you to stop again.
Yeah. Where if this was Werewolf in America, he probably would have been thrown in jail way sooner. So
that werewolf wouldn't last too long.
No.
Yeah, so he really could have just gone with Alex, and he would have been able to
at least be monitored or something,
Yeah, but I guess he was just like, the closer I am to you, the more in danger you are. So I can kind of get that. And also, I don't know if she actually explained everything to him, which could have made things simpler. So he goes out there, and he calls his home in America and tells his whole family that he loves them.
Yeah,
and
he realizes that something's, things are not going to go well from this point on. So.
Yeah, he's not getting out of this alive, probably.
Yeah.
And he sees Jack outside of a porno theater, goes in there. Jack is basically a skeleton with a couple of scrapes of flesh hanging off his bones.
Right, yeah, he's decayed practically almost to the skeleton at this point. He's like gray, and yeah,
he's now a puppet.
Yeah. And all the other souls that he murdered the night before are there as well in their stages of decay.
And they are not very pleased to see him. Well, the couple's kind of stoked on him a little bit. They're polite.
Yeah, they seem a little bit
more chipper.
They've accepted what happened,
so they're all giving him different suggestions of how to kill himself. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. And this is one of the scenes that does have like a comedic element to it. One of the few there, but it's nice to have because they're suggesting, you should stab yourself, or you should shoot yourself, or
like, try some pills.
Yeah.
Drown yourself. Yeah.
Just offering all kinds of ways that he could just end this, but of course, he doesn't do this. So.
I love the one chick, the really chipper of the group. She's just like, a car crash. It's like, okay.
And the guy's like, oh, you could throw yourself in front of the tube, which is the subway. So.
And then Jack's even like getting offended with us. Like, this is my friend. I don't want him to like mess up and like just be in pain and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of the last funny scenes in the movie. Right after this, apparently he stayed a little too late in this theater, and he starts turning.
Yep.
I also have to say that the porno that's playing is really funny.
Yeah, when the guy walks in, he's like, "What have I told you about what? I can't remember.
Sneaking behind my back or whatever."
I told you about sneaking behind my back and doing this stuff, and the girl in it, she's like, "I don't even know you." He's like,
"No." The guy's like, I never made a promise. He's like, not you twit. I'm talking to her, and she's like, I don't even know you. He's like, well, I'm sorry.
I'll walk my half-naked ass out of here then. Yeah, it's pretty funny porno they're watching there. But he's going to transform again here for the second, because there was apparently 2 full moons in a row.
That could happen.
Yeah, I was thinking that too when I was watching. I was like, yeah, maybe that could happen. So I'll let that one go. I'm not sure.
I don't think he'd have a third one, but I'm not exactly. If anybody knows anything about moon cycles, please let us know.
Right, because I'm not sure if you can have 2 in a row. Maybe close enough. Something.
There's a chance Ricky might turn into a werewolf one day, and he might need to plan accordingly to that.
To know how many days I need, but yeah, he transforms there in the theater. He does kill the attendant in the theater. A couple people go running out screaming, saying, "Oh, there's a monster in there! There's a monster in there!" As the cops start showing up, I mean, the scene pretty much starts to escalate. and from there. And
Yeah, he must have killed everybody in that theater.
Yeah, it's like that whole entire city block just shit hits the fan because you start seeing car crashes and I didn't, for some reason I'm blanking on it, but the cops are trying to hold the door.
Yeah, they pull down it looks like it's made out of wood, but I mean, I feel like mostly they're usually metal doors, like when you close up for the night, and they're holding it, and then those two detectives that have been in the whole movie, they show up, and the one who's like kind of a craggy detective just steps in the right place. As soon as the werewolf finally breaks through the door, it lunges right at him and bites his fucking head off.
Yeah,
and then
I knew it was one of the detectives. For some reason, I was blanking on which one it was, but the detective.
It was the old craggy one.
Just clean head bitten off. It just kind of goes rolling around, and in the meantime, just cars crashing.
Mass hysteria. This thing is running all around, fucking everything up, and God, this is probably the most grisly part too, because it's people getting like run over by buses.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
thrown through car windows. There's that the people get thrown through convenience store fronts and stuff. And then the last shot, I love how it is. The last shot of that sequence is just this cop in front of a car and then another car screeching right into him. And just as it hits him, it cuts to Alex like waking up.
Yeah,
it's so abrupt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the city block has just went crazy.
Piccadilly Circus has been thoroughly fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And with that scene, like the cops are trying to tell people that obviously something's crazy happening. So, but still in the scene, like all these people are trying to like hoard around this area, like
because they're like, "What the fuck is going on? This is nuts." Yeah. So which makes the situation even worse. So many damn people around.
Well, the police get on, their radios and things to say, hey, we need some big guns down here. They finally see that it is indeed a wolf monster thing that is killing people, and they're trying to chase it down. And at the same time, Alex kind of gets a little wind of what's going on too, and she heads down there as well.
She knows it's David.
Yeah, she knows at this point what's going on.
Classic David.
Yeah. So she's on her way to try and get with him. And the police are after him. And eventually he is led to a alleyway there. And Alex is going to show up when they've kind of got him cornered.
So she, for some reason, they let her just walk down this alleyway by herself.
Yeah.
To this crazed, scary, unstoppable creature, basically. It's killed many people that night. And she tries to reason with it. And even this is like really another testament of really good like effects too. Like she's like, David, I love you. Because he told her earlier before he ran off, he was like, Alex, I love you. And he like takes off. So she finally gets to reciprocate those feelings back to him, even though he's like a werewolf at the time.
And you can kind of tell that there is that little piece of David that actually did understand that when you see his expressions and the mannerisms. So.
Yeah, the werewolf's face just like goes kind of soft for a moment, like oh, and then it starts to growl again. And like this could be maybe David was taunting the police to shoot him, or maybe the last bit of him was gone. Interpret it as you will, but right then he lunges at her and the police shoot him to death.
Yeah, they fire on him and they shoot him, and of course kill him. And then just like the first werewolf, you do see like his naked body with bullet holes and stuff there. And Alex is obviously upset, and kind of abruptly the movie just ends. That's it.
Yeah, ends on David dead and her crying, and everyone trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. Yeah, then Blue Moon comes in. And you'll never hear songs with the word moon in it exactly the same way.
Right. Yeah. So
every song besides the main orchestral theme by Elmer Bernstein in this is a song involving the word moon.
Yeah.
Van Morrison, and Creedence Clearwater, and 3 different versions of Blue Moon.
And like we said, the movie just abruptly ends there. You get the credits with the song, but again, I think just to mention too that it's a really cool creature movie. Like if you're
Yeah.
into that kind of thing and you haven't seen this, like you should. It's pretty cool. Like it's one of the better ones out there. So
And also, I think the pace of the movie is great.
mhm.
It keeps things interesting. At the same time, it's not overtly complex, but it has
Right.
enough interesting things sprinkled into it to like keep your attention.
And the movie moves pretty quickly.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel like you're sitting there for how some movies where it could be an hour and a half long, but you swear you sat there for 2.5 hours. It doesn't.
yeah.
It's not like that at all.
It's not a sludge.
Yeah. It's a good pace. You don't get bored really at any point.
Yeah,
Pretty cool
I
stuff. If anybody hasn't seen it, I mean, obviously we're going to recommend it.
highly.
Yeah,
This is definitely up there. One of my favorite horror movie. Well, I put it in a favorite movie listing. Even like I just really like it. It's got a great attitude with
Yeah.
it. I mean, or it's not a feel good movie, but it's got
Yeah.
its moments. You'll feel nice that you're watching it, I guess.
And I would put it up there with maybe my top creature feature list. I wouldn't go as far as to put it in any other top list of mine personally, but again, I'm not a huge werewolf person, so that's a little different. But as far as creature features go, from someone who's not really big into creature features, this is probably sets the gold standard for most, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
It feels like an inspired film, like whoever made it, John Landis,
Mhm.
like legitimately just wanted to make this. Like I was watching something, he was talking about how he wrote this when he was, I think, in his 20s or something, and he'd just been trying to make it throughout his early career, and then he had like Animal House and the Blues Brothers were so successful, he finally got to make it, and it feels like there's a lot of passion behind it. Also,
Right.
have to mention that Michael Carter, who was the man in the subway who was murdered, was also Bib Fortuna in Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi. He was the guy who works for Jabba the Hutt that has like a snake thing around his neck. And I'll never not be able to see this movie without seeing that now.
This is a horror show. Nobody cares about that shit. I don't even
Yeah.
know. Well, I'm just joking, but no,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Star Wars stuff, so I can't comment on that. So
Everybody out there that resonated with, you're welcome.
yeah. So yeah, I think that'll probably wrap it up here for American Werewolf in London. And again, if you haven't seen it, do it.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing if you're listening to
Right.
horror podcasts and you haven't seen this? Or
Yeah.
even if you haven't seen this, if you won't see it, just
Right.
watch it. Good God.
Yeah.
It's so good.
it is really good. So
The whole movie's on YouTube. I watched it for free.
Yeah.
It was broken up into clips.
But that's okay.
But
So
you can just watch it. It's great.
yeah,
It's really good.
luckily I have a copy of it, so I was able to watch it. But
I have a copy of it too, and I can't find it. Ever since I moved, I guess I lost all my favorite movies. But yeah.
But yeah, like we always say, check us out on Facebook, that kind of stuff. Follow us on anything that you listen to podcasts on. We are available there. And we will go ahead and say this week that our episode next week, we're going to do Terrifier. So that should be pretty awesome.
Now
We're back
that
in,
one is on Netflix.
yeah, we're back in my world here, the world of slashers. So.
And clowns.
I'm not a big fan of clown movies, but this is an
I
exception.
don't know. I think of clowns sometimes. I think of you. You're the first person who showed me Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a fan of the It movies.
It.
But I mean, there's a ton of clown movies, so even if there's a couple that's good, it's not. I'm not gonna say.
Isn't there a zombie virus clown movie called Clown that just
Probably.
He gets
Yeah,
bit by a clown and turns into a clown.
There's shit like Killjoy and
oh god,
I don't know, a bunch of dumb shit like that. So, but yeah. So we'll be doing Terrifier, but so yeah, be sure to look out for that episode next week. But we're gonna end it here. So You all have a fantastic week.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Ricky.
Later.